Now let's talk to people who have, let's say, we have two people tuning in, maybe three people's interest tuning in, right? One is someone who is very interested in preventing ever getting cancer in the first place, and maybe doesn't have a cancer diagnosis, maybe has some other underlying health challenges or not. But then we have people who have cancer and are looking to reclaim their health, right? And if you have cancer, that's already a sign. I love, I believe it's Sayer G, who I've heard say this multiple times, that you don't,
I love him.
yeah, you don't get sick because you have cancer. You get cancer because you're already sick, right? So if you have cancer and you're watching this and you hear what we're talking about, you already have a compromised immune system, because the immune system is critical in helping your body to remove cancer cells. So you do need to be a little more concerned if you have cancer. You do need to be a little more concerned about any viral infection, right?
Mhm.
But isn't it true that the same things, many of the same things you'll do to enhance your immunity, enhance your body's ability to heal itself from a viral infection, are the same things you would be doing, or very
The very,
similar, to
no, the
help with
very
cancer?
same. The very same. And so, those three groups of people that you are talking about, that's who I'm talking to every single day, because it's all about creating an anti-inflammatory environment. Cancer is a normal response to an abnormal environment. There's something about the microenvironment in whatever organ we're talking about that is saying to those cells, you're not safe. They go into survival mode. That's what's happening. So it's all about creating that atmosphere of calm for them, putting them at rest, finding that balance, right? And so the way that we do that is we do things that promote our health. And so when I talk to all of those people, I talk to them about nutrient dense, whole food, plant-based eating, because that's really what we need to fuel all of the processes that our body needs to do. We need all of those nutrients from a plant-based diet in order to do that. And there are specific things in a plant-based diet that drive different functions. So depending on what type of cancer that you're talking about, you may want to double down on certain things, like the leafy greens, like the cruciferous, like mushrooms, like the onion family, like the brassicas, like garlic, that kind of thing. So you may be thinking about structuring your diet, your everyday diet, around those and just enhancing that with all the other colors. So really, eating the rainbow is the anti-cancer diet, right? That is what is going to nourish your body and give it what it needs. But your body also needs other sources of nourishment, right? So we take in our nourishment as food, but there are lots and lots of other things that nourish us, right? We're nourished by our spirituality. We're nourished by our relationships, by our connections with one another. We're nourished by a purpose-driven life. We're nourished by proper movement. And that is really key for people, because movement staves off depression, makes us stronger, increases our cardiovascular capability. It lowers blood pressure, it lowers blood sugar. It does so many things in our body. So it's so very important for prevention, for treatment, for disease reversal, right? And then it's also about stress and stress management and how you are perceiving the world around you and the meaning that you're giving to it, right? Because we all have stress and the stress isn't going anywhere. But the only meaning that stress has is that meaning that you give it, that you assign to it, that you allow it to have. And there are techniques that you can build, that you can load up in your toolbox to help you to manage those things, to dismiss those things, to allow you to decide what comes in and what meaning that has when it comes in. And so working along those lines and really building a good toolbox there is super important. And then our environment. And in as much as we can control it, getting rid of those toxins that surround us, and you're never going to be able to get rid of all of them, right? It's impossible in this world. I think the average child is born with 250 chemicals in their cord blood. So, we're already starting off behind the 8 ball, but you can do better. And that's all we can do is do better, right? So you can choose not to drink out of plastic. You can choose not to store in plastic. You can choose not to do takeout. You can choose these things. You can choose not to use traditional cleaners and not to use perfume and not to burn candles. And, there are a lot of choices that we can make that make our environment better, healthier, less toxic. And lastly, so many people have dealt with trauma. And trauma has short-term consequences, but it also has a significant amount of long-term consequences. And I love the work that they're doing at Hopkins around psilocybin. Anyone who knows me knows I am a big believer in mushrooms. They are a kingdom like our kingdom, and they have tremendous, tremendous health benefits. And the work that they're doing around psilocybin in people with metastatic cancer is just absolutely amazing, and I'm really hopeful and excited for that to be released into the cancer community so that so many more people can benefit from it.
I think you just laid a pretty beautiful, simple, solid foundation for taking care of our health from just about any chronic ailment, whether it's cancer, it's a viral infection, it's diabetes, it's heart disease, it's autoimmune disease. There's so many similarities in these, right? They're almost, I interviewed Dr. Dean Ornish for this series. I want to make sure people go and watch that because, he's theorizing, which I've come to realize over the years in doing hundreds of these interviews and reading hundreds of research articles, thousands by now, thousands of hours, over 15 years in the natural health field now, that all of these diseases are so related. They're just showing up in the body in a different way. He's saying they're all pretty much the same disease, right? And it makes so much sense.
Different manifestations, right? They're different manifestations of inflammation.
That's it.
So
that's it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that, what inflames me may not be what inflames you. But if we both have inflammation, we're going to manifest it somehow. So, my children will hate me for saying this, but I have 2 kids that are still acting like teenagers. And when they're outside of my house, they act like petulant children and they eat things that don't make them feel well. And one of them manifests with weight gain and one of them manifests with depression, anxiety. And I can always tell when they're eating a lot outside of the house. Right? And they manifest it so differently and they get angry at each other. Well, one thinks that the other one has the better deal. Listen, they're both terrible deals. Manifestations of inflammation are awful for everyone.
We hope you enjoyed this short excerpt from the Health and Healing Club. This entire video, including an in-depth discussion and thoughtful and inspiring questions and answers, is available inside the Health and Healing Club, along with hundreds of hours of premium and exclusive life-changing content, practices, and holistic, natural, and integrative solutions for health and healing. You can start your free trial today at healthandhealingclub.com.